In the news this week, 3 more years of Labour. Albanese enters into a second term with a majority as the coalition and Dutton failed to resonate with voters.
With a special report and commentary on the election results, plus Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loom and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Labour Party have cruised into a second term of government following a decisive victory in this weekend's federal election. The coalition and Peter Dutton, on the other hand, failed to break the curse of unseating a one-term government and struggled to resonate with voters nationwide. Page Reid begins our special coverage.
The day began with both party leaders voting in their own electorates. Here in WA, Premier Roger Cook and Federal Minister Madeleine King casted their votes in the electorate of Brand, south of Perth, before getting a democracy sausage.
Western Australians, you have a choice, and the choice is clear. Do we build Western Australia's future with the Albanese Labor government, or do we go backwards under Peter Dutton?
One Nation and the Greens, on the other hand, were optimistic of securing the balance of power in both the lower house and the Senate.
There's a lot of people that are saying they're voting for One Nation and they're over the two major parties. So yeah, they said they're looking for something different this election.
We will work to advance the goals that people have endorsed and voted for, to get dental into Medicare, to break up Coles and Woolies, to bring down the cost of housing, and to make sure that you can see the GP for free.
But as night fell and the vote counting began around the nation, the results favoured Labour more than expected with a strong majority. The Liberals, on the other hand, not only failed to win back all the previously safe Liberal seats, including Kooyong, North Sydney, Wentworth and others. Here in Perth, the previously super safe blue ribbon seat of Curtin fell to the Teals for the second time, as Kate Chanley successfully retained it.
The fact that Peter Dutton lost his seat tonight, I think, is a really strong message to the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party has moved away from the voters in moderate seats like Curtin and become a very, very right-wing party. And I think Peter Dutton losing his seat means the Liberal Party should take a long, hard look at itself and think about how it can actually represent the values of ordinary Australians who are compassionate, who are inclusive, who want to see vulnerable people treated well and don't want this politics of division and fear and negativity.
Despite losing the seat here in Canning, the atmosphere was anything but sombre as the Labor Party celebrate a majority government win, with Gould commenting that a win for the Labor Party is a win for young Australians.
Jared Gould mentioned that despite losing the seat, he was very happy with the overall result and was happy that the Labor Party can continue helping Australians during this very hard time.
But what we did have was people power, so we went out door knocking and we also had a bit of social media.
Opposition leader Peter Dutton was dealt the biggest blow, as not only did the Liberal Party lose the election overall, but Dutton also lost the seat of Dickson. The last time a political leader lost their own seat was John Howard back in 2007. There are now questions as to who will be the next leader of the opposition, as the coalition are set to spend 3 more years in the political wilderness. Paige Reid, WAMN News.
As the dust settles on the federal election results, a major shift in Australia's political landscape has reached a tipping point. Primary votes for Labor and the Liberal Nationals are hitting record lows as more voters turn to independents and minor parties. So, what does the future hold for the next 3 years and beyond? Former Liberal MLC Anthony Fells joins me to share his take on election night.
Anthony, can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen tonight and what your views are for the future of the Labor and Liberal parties?
Well, politics is things happen very quickly, so this is a shock to the Liberal Party. It's not a shock to everyone. I think the polls were indicating this for a long time, but the Liberals kept saying that the polls might be wrong, and they often are. But everywhere we went for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it was pointing in this direction. It's what we were seeing today out at the polling booths, and the Liberal Party have lost their leader, so it's not like there's going to be a spill or move against the leader. There's going to be a vacancy, and there's a bit of a vacuum in the Liberal Party now about who might fill that. It hasn't even been contemplated who that might be. So the Liberal Party got a lot of soul searching to do in a very short period of time.
What do you think that this election means for the future of the Liberal Party, if they even have one?
Well, that's it. That's the problem for them now, is they've been going backwards steadily for a long time. Both major parties have got a very low primary vote. Liberals, only just over 30%. Labor about 35, 36%. So combined, that's less than 2/3 of the national vote. So there's a 1/3 of the vote voting for parties, and then you've also got to look at it. There's 2/3 of the national population don't want either party, or don't want the party in government. So it makes quite a volatile situation. I think the Liberals made a bit of a mistake making voters worry there might be a hung parliament and relying on the Greens. That might have actually pushed more people back towards Labor because they weren't necessarily ready to vote for Liberal.
And what are your thoughts around independents like Kate Chaney in the election this year?
Well, I think we're going to see more of that. I think it's really how the Parliament started hundreds of years ago, and especially in Australia, the Liberal Party 70 years ago, when community people were being elected in to represent their seats. And it wasn't centrally controlled. Now you've got both parties controlled out of Canberra and the eastern states, and by a few power brokers at the top. And as soon as they make the wrong decision or choose the wrong person, they get a very big backlash from the community very quickly. And I think Kate Chaney here has shown that she's different, doing it differently. The other Teals or independent candidates all around the country are doing it differently. They've got broad support in their community. And I think longer term as well, there's going to be a new generation of voters recognise that and look for that in the future too. So I think the future for major parties is going to be very difficult to be able to maintain the control that they've had in the past.
Do you think that this year's election result, which is so blatantly swung against the Liberals, shows that young people are more voting for more progressive parties, or maybe for more independents and Labor, and that the centre line is shifting, perhaps?
Definitely that's the case for the Liberal Party, because it's pretty well recognised that their voter base is getting older, and they're not replacing it with the younger voters. The younger voters are going not even necessarily for the Labor Party. They're going for the Greens or the other minor parties or independents. But it's very hard for the Liberal Party to get that flow through in preferences, and definitely not in the primary vote.
So what do you think that this year's election result means for the future of Australia and democracy? Is it good? Is it bad? What are your thoughts?
Well, I love democracy, so I respect the result. I don't think it would have been a bad thing if we had a minority government. I think the Parliament would have worked effectively. That's how the Parliament is designed to operate anyway. Parliament was set up before they even had political parties. So it's the governor the head of state, that is the head of state, and appoints the ministers and the Prime Minister. So I think we'll be in for a bit of a wild time, because Labor, I think, will very quickly come out with some policies and issues that they say they've talked about and supported, but they weren't the core policies that led into this election, and they shouldn't be claiming a mandate for a whole lot of things that they might in the future. Because a 3-year term goes pretty quickly, and they could very quickly lose the margin that they picked up at this election.
One of WA's largest social and affordable housing programs has entered its next phase, with the Cook government opening tenders to build more than 1,000 homes across Perth. Backed by a $443 million investment and joint state-federal funding, the project includes 14 built-to-rent developments totaling 1,145 homes, 80% for affordable housing and 20% for social housing. Sites will be ranged from 3 to 9 stories and located near Metronet stations in areas like Ellenbrook, Cannington, Midland and Subiaco. Completed homes will be sold to community housing providers through 25-year concession loans. All buildings will meet 7-star energy standards and Silver Livable Design guidelines. Tenders for 2 builders packages are now open, closing on the 3rd of June, with strong market interest already reported.
A man is being charged over a fatal hit-and-run crash that occurred in Mandurah in late 2020. The incident took place 5 years ago on Sunday the 22nd of November 2020, approximately at 2:45 a.m. Police were notified about a man lying on the northbound lanes of Mandurah Road near the Dampier Drive intersection. Police confirmed that a 37-year-old man was found dead at the scene. Following public coverage by several news outlets, police received multiple reports from the community, which led to the arrest of a 22-year-old man from Perth at the time of the incident. The alleged driver was 17 years old. He has now been charged and appeared at Perth Children's Court this week. WA Police Detective Senior Sergeant Hugh Letessia thanked the community for their support and playing a helping role to assist the investigation.
Perth is set to host a wrestling smackdown of global proportions in October as WWE comes to RAC Arena. The exclusive event is called Crown Jewel Perth and will be part of WWE takeover of the arena, with 3 events taking place over a weekend. Huge WWE names will be coming to Western Australia as part of the weekend, with the Crown Jewel event to be a face-off of epic proportions. The Crown Jewel event will see men and women's different divisions battled out, happening on Saturday the 11th of October. It will even feature Hollywood actor and 17-time WWE champion John Cena, who is on his 2025 farewell tour. The Friday night SmackDown event will occur on the 10th of October and the Monday night Raw event on the 13th of October. Australian WWE legends Rhea Ripley and Gavin Waller touring the city as they await the October event.
And now, here is Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary following the federal election this weekend.
Thanks for your time. Well, it was a pretty emphatic federal election result in favour of incumbent Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and it will be interesting to see how that changes his approach now that he's clearly a winner and someone who has a mandate to carry forward with policies that are positive, I think, for things like renewables, for action on climate change, and for Medicare, where they've devoted a significant amount of money to improving access. So whether that money can be translated into real action is going to be the question, and that's what will determine Anthony Albanese's ultimate legacy, because we all know that in politics you can be up one day and down the next. I think it was a repudiation of Trump and a fear that's spreading around the world that authoritarianism in the US has really changed the landscape. It's been a fundamental tectonic shift in international affairs, and particularly in Western liberal democracies, to see someone trying to expand their personal power as a president so dramatically, so quickly. And as we're now losing leadership in the Western world, it will be good to see Australia developing its own independence, its ability to deal on the world stage without needing the shadow of the US affecting everything that we do. So good luck to the new government and all those who've been re-elected or elected for the first time. Good luck to the opposition, who will need to be strong to hold any government to account. And good on the Australian people for making a clear choice not to adopt some of the anti-immigrant rhetoric that we've heard from some of the candidates who were, I think, rejected in this election. We're a modern country built on an ancient culture that was colonised a couple of hundred years ago, but since then immigrants have really built this modern democracy and want to see it succeed for their children, want to see it be more affordable, and at the same time offer those universal health care and other social protections that are really important in a community so that everyone can benefit. It's not just the people who receive government support that benefit from it. We all live in a better society, rich, poor and in between, when we look after our most vulnerable. Thanks for your time.
That was Dr. Andrew Miller's comment. Recapping this week's top stories, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party have cruised into a second term of government following a decisive victory in this weekend's federal election. The Coalition and Peter Dutton, on the other hand, failed to break the curse of unseating one-term governments and struggled to resonate with voters nationwide. The Liberals also failed to gain back several Teal seats despite significant resources allocated to them.
Thank you very much. Now, it's been a hectic start to the year, hasn't it, Ivan?
Well, you got the state election, you got the federal elections, and you got the council elections.
It's been a busy year.
No, it's not letting us stop. No, not even let us take a breath.
And breathe and get on with it. No, we really need a chance to wind down.
Well, having said that, though, we thank you that you've joined us along the way, and of course, we'll bring you the latest as always.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Remember to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. Now let's find out what's happening on the other side of the country. Leo Puglisi and 6 News team takes over now. Good night to you.
It's Sunday, the 4th of May. Here's a look at the top stories making news right now. Australia has decided Anthony Albanese will remain the Prime Minister in what was a remarkable night for the Labor Party. This morning, 6 News can project at least 88 seats for the Labor Party, on par with historic victories such as the 86 under Bob Hawke in 1987 and the 83 under Kevin Rudd, managed in 2007. That leaves 37 for the Coalition and 13 for other, with 12 seats still in doubt. Also of note, the Greens, at least at this stage, we still cannot predict a seat for them, leaving their total with 0. But the Greens are still ahead in Melbourne. Nationally, the ALP had 34.63% of the vote, a 2.5% swing towards them. The Coalition had 31.72% of the vote, that's a 3.69% swing away from them, and the Greens had 12.15% of the primary vote, that's a 0.1% swing away. It wasn't long into counting until figures showed Labor leading in key seats. Have a look at this map. Now, up until last night, these were all seats held by the Coalition. Take a look at today. They're all held by Labor, and the Liberals are out of Tasmania. It was a result that defied the polls, taking everyone by surprise, including 6 News' Mackie Perry.
I think it's just been a shock. No one really expected a, huge Labor majority or something like this. Even YouGov was, fell short of this prediction. I just think it's very astounding, and Labor's clearly managed to. Labor's clearly taken from everyone to an extent. The Greens have won a lot of votes in suburbia, but have lost votes to Labor in places that matter. The Coalition have lost, across the board, especially in Queensland and Tasmania, actually. And independents will still have to wait and see, honestly. There's a lot of Bradfield's up in the air, actually. Colare, Monash, maybe Casey, Bean, just a lot of these places are up in the air right now, so.
At 20 minutes past 8, just 2 hours into counting, 6 News was ready to make the call.
8:20 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. 6 News projects Anthony Albanese will be returned as Prime Minister and Labor has been re-elected to government. We're not 100% sure yet on a minority or a majority. Labor will be re-elected. Labor has retained power in this federal election, a monumental result, especially considering the polls a few months ago.
Now, on the flip side of this result is, of course, the Coalition, a complete failure of a campaign from a leader with pre-election campaign polling in his favour. They're left without a leader after Peter Dutton lost his own seat and, of course, the election, with no clear path on how they'll become competitive again. Chief Anchor Leo Puglisi explains.
For Peter Dutton, losses right across the board with the Liberal National Coalition. They've suffered losses to Teal independents, both, of course, seats that they're trying to get back and seats that they are potentially losing now. Really interesting losses to Labor, not just in seats that they were hoping to get off Labor, even things like Bennelong, notionally Labor, notionally Liberal rather, but also in Queensland, right across Queensland, there have been Labor gain after Labor gain. Seats from the Greens, of course, but also quite a few from the Coalition. The big one, of course, the huge story, Peter Dutton losing his own seat of Dixon to Labor's Ailey France. That is a remarkable result. Ailey France has run 3 elections in a row, and for her to win this is ginormous. Peter Dutton has held the seat for 2 decades. A significant result there. Interesting results continue to come across the board for the crossbench. The Greens really stuffed by some of the finishing positions for Labor and the coalition in some seats, which changes the 2 candidate preferred result. And so they've lost Griffith and Brisbane. Melbourne is a bit shaky. That is held by Adam Ban, of course. They're hopeful, but not necessarily confident in Ryan, and we're waiting to see results from non-currently Greens-held seats, that being Wills, held by Labor in Melbourne, and Richmond, held by Labor in New South Wales, and we'll keep a close eye on them. Teal Independents, as we said before, having significant results across the board. In particular, you look at seats like Kooyong, where they've been able to retain, and then you look across New South Wales, where they've been able to have lots of retains, so they'd be very happy there. But overall, extraordinary night. Labor retaining government, even bigger than the last election, and the Liberal Party, their worst result ever in terms of national primary vote for the coalition. Just a horrific result, really, for the coalition, and it's a bit of a cliche, but a lot of soul searching is going to be going on in the coalition over the coming days, weeks and months.
Now, world leaders have begun congratulating Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on his stunning election victory. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer was one of the first to offer his congratulations, saying he's looking forward to working with Albanese in his second term, as well as Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, who tweeted congratulations to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on a confident electoral win. I wish you continued success in serving the people of Australia and delivering meaningful achievements. French President Emmanuel Macron says the victory marks a new chapter in the Franco-Australian relationship, and US President Donald Trump is expected to call Prime Minister Anthony Albanese sometime in the next few days. And as we mentioned just before, Peter Dutton has lost his own seat. The opposition leader is out of Parliament. Chief reporter Roman McKinnon is on the ground in Dixon.
Ailey France, para-athlete, former journalist, a disability advocate, now the Labor member for Dixon. Someone hasn't had that title in 24 years. Peter Dutton losing the Prime Ministership battle and losing his own seat. 3rd time's the charm for Ailey France, ousting Dutton with a swing not many saw coming. Anthony Albanese singling her out in his victory speech.
Excuse me for singling out one of them, who ran for a 3rd time in Dixon. So many of whom will be joining us as caucus members in Parliament.
It's been a long, challenging journey for France. She almost lost her life in 2011 after a car pinned her in a shopping centre when she was with one of her sons. It resulted in her left leg being amputated above the knee. Just last year, France tragically lost her eldest son Henry to leukemia, staying by his side for 18 months. Dixon was previously held with a margin of 1.7%. Now it could be well over 5 or 6%. Results were looking favourable for France as the night went on. 6 News did not want to call anything due to it also looking good early for Labor in 2022. Also, Dutton then went on to retain his seat. It also depicted a bigger picture nationwide, some pretty hefty swings toward Labor. As it stands right now, France has a swing towards her of around 8% of the vote, with preference flows from the Greens and Independent not pushing her over the line, just helping her a little bit more. In fact, Peter Dutton and Ailey France are neck and neck in primary votes. That doesn't matter anymore. Ailey France has broken through on her 3rd attempt and won the seat of Dixon off Peter Dutton.
And those are the top stories on 6 News right now. You can stay up to date anytime by heading to our websites and by following us on social media at 6 News AU. Stay with us for continuing news coverage. For now though, I'm Austin Pollock. Thank you for your company. Have a great day.